stations. Several gas stations had already been burned down. So we filled up a container with gas, and this was sitting on the back of this SUV truck. We were driving to Rarienda. Now, as we get closer to Rarienda, because now the ride is fairly smooth, there are no real problems on the way. But as we're getting close to Rarienda, there's a small town called Akala. I just suddenly see an ocean of people in front. Okay, almost 100% male. Okay, as we got close, I noticed what I estimated at about 300 boys. Okay, in front of us. And as we drove closer, they went in a V like this. So some of them were coming to the sides of the vehicle. And as you saw their faces, I was shocked. I'd never seen something like this. All of them seemed drunk or high on some drug. Okay, their eyes looked red. They were carrying machetes, and they were carrying big sticks and big stones. So of course our vehicle stopped like this. Okay, Godi is driving and my sister is seated on the side. So as we stopped, and these boys came closer. Now one guy came around to the side where I was seated, and he noticed my sister's father-in-law. This man had a big stone like this. It was probably 100 pounds. He's carrying this way. There was a man with a machete like this in front of the vehicle, waving this way. And then there was another fellow with a sling. Okay. And then one man apparently had already quickly picked up the gas container. He's holding it on the side. And then one guy announced that these are supporters of Tuju. Tuju is known, although Tuju is Luo, is known to be a supporter of Mr. Kibaki, who's Kikuyu.
Yes.
So one man said supporters of Tuju, and then another guy said Choma. Okay, Choma is of course banned. He says just ban them. So literally I just saw life ending at that point. So we're sitting there, these boys are petrol, and of course we've already seen buildings burning, so I just saw life ending. They just said Choma. Then one young man, the one with the big stone, was now going like this, ready to throw the stone on the vehicle. Huge, huge stone. So at that point, I was sort of in a daze, just frozen. Now my sister and her husband are trying to persuade the young men, trying to get them to please let us pass, and trying to convince them that all of us voted for ODM. Okay. While we're doing all of this, Mr. Magolo, the father-in-law, who's a known supporter of Tuju, stepped out of the vehicle. And I didn't comprehend why he did this, and I didn't even stop him because I was shocked. I was in a daze. My sister and her husband did not notice this. So meanwhile, they persuaded the young men, said that they voted for ODM and that could we please talk to your captain. One of the young men pointed at someone who was supposed to be the captain. So this captain came closer to the window. And when he came closer to the window, Godson, that's my sister's husband, persuaded him that we had voted for ODM and would he please let us pass. We have nothing to do with the theft of the elections. And so after a lot of back and forth, this man demanded that we must give him some money that for him to take care of his boys. So Godi gave him a little money, and he asked Godi, "Are you sure you voted for ODM?" Godi said yes. And then he told the boys to clear, so the vehicle went forward. So when we drove forward, after a few seconds, just a short distance from the boys, Godi realized that his father is not in the vehicle, so he panicked. So he wanted to turn the vehicle around to go back towards the boys, but we were all very scared. We told him, please don't. Let's just find a way to get the old man somehow. And we were wondering why he stepped into the crowd. It made no sense at the time. Later it did. So we drove away. And then we sent this young man, Omondi, who was a big guy. We gave him some money and told him to get onto a boda, onto a motorcycle.
You just met?
No, he was riding with them. Okay, he works for them. Okay. So we sent this young man to go back on a motorcycle to look for the old man. So he goes back, and the old man had turned off his cell phone. So he finally gets the old man, then he calls us on his cell phone to tell us that, okay, I have him and he's safe. But later the old man explained to us why he stepped out of the vehicle. He said that he realized that because he was campaigning very strongly there for Mr. Tuju, that he realized that these boys had identified him and there is no way they wouldn't have burnt the vehicle if he was in the vehicle. Okay, so to save everybody else from being burnt, he decided he will get out and take the risk of confronting the boys directly, and that if anyone gets killed, let it be one person instead of everybody. Okay, this is the calculation he made. And then he said he was going to tell the boys that, listen, it's true I voted for Tuju, but I voted for Tuju for MP. I did not vote for Kibaki for president. I voted for Raila for president. Okay, so he said he showed the boys the ink on his finger and said, this was for Raila. Do you want to kill a man who voted for ODM? So, okay, so the boys left him alone, but by that time the vehicle had left, we were away from there. So now we picked him up and we waited for him. The motorbike brought him and we drove home with him, home to his home, which is in the middle of Rarienda, which is Tuju's place. And Tuju's place is next to Oburu Odinga's place. Rarienda is next to Bondo. Bondo is sort of the main stronghold of the Ogingas. And Tuju is known as a major supporter of Kibaki. So now what's interesting here is this, that now there is a big fight between all the supporters of ODM and the supporters of Tuju. Because Tuju is known to have supported the PNU, which is known to have stolen the election. And so thinking of this in the ethnic terms in which everything has been cast, you now have Luos fighting against Luos based on purely ideological difference. Okay? So a lot of projects that Tuju had set up in Rarienda were actually burnt. They lit them up. There was fire in the village by the anti-PNU, anti-Kibaki groups. Now this house where we stayed was a nice large house, Mr. Magolo's house, but the house had bats in the roof. Okay, it had been, so there are bats that live in the roof. So at night, the bats would be flying in and flying back into the house. So you'd hear noise in the ceiling. But at the same time, we knew that Mr. Magolo is known as a major supporter of Tuju. And we also knew that the boys are burning houses and burning projects that were done by Tuju because they're angry at anyone who is a supporter of Kibaki. So at night for 1 week, I could barely sleep because you'd hear the roof rattling. And you're not sure whether it's the boys breaking in or the bats. For the first 2 days, I didn't even know it's bats. I found out later. I was just like, oh my God, the boys are here. Okay.
Oh my God.
So it was very scary staying in that house. Okay.
Oh my God.
And my friend who was with me was actually so traumatized by just this initial coming face to face with the boys and being seconds away from death, and then of course with the